This is the Post Shift Podcast, a raw look at the hospitality industry. Good afternoon, Post Shifters, and welcome to another episode of Post Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Soole. I apologize, I've been a bit quiet the last couple of weeks between vacation in the Bahamas and then I went to Lisbon Bar Show and everything else. I've just been trying to keep up, keep my head above water a little bit. But while I was in Lisbon last week, I had the great opportunity to sit down with a good friend, Oron Lerner from Tel Aviv. He pretty much is the pioneer of cocktail culture in that region of the world. And I have known him for years and years and years. And to sit down and have a chat to him and talk to him about everything as bars, his aspirations, that sort of thing, was a great pleasure for me. Another great thing for bartenders to look out there and listen to this one, because he does get pretty deep on his successes and, well, I don't call them failures, but the opposite to success. So please enjoy this episode. I had a great time sitting down chatting to him, and we had a great time in Lisbon together. We went to a couple of bars and really checked out the scene, and it was a lot of fun. So hope you enjoy the episode. I'll chat to you next week. Bye. So you want to introduce yourself?
I would have no idea what to say. Hi, my name is Oron.
Yep.
I'm a bartender in Tel Aviv right now.
And where do you work?
I work at a bar called Imperial Craft Bar in Tel Aviv. It's a forefront of cocktail culture in Tel Aviv for the last 6 years. Opened 6 years ago. As soon as we opened, we hit the global marketing. Yeah. Everybody noticed Imperial. We were doing really good work for the last couple of years. I worked there for about 2 years and then left to open my own bar, which was an absolute disaster in many ways.
Well, no, I wouldn't say it was a disaster. French 57, right?
Yeah.
French 57 was very successful.
No, but there's more to the story. I didn't open French 57. I opened a bar called Hide and Seek. It was a high-volume cocktail bar with a lot of partners. Yeah. Like we were maybe 10 partners. Ooh. All right, and it was really busy. Like it really hit the floor, and Tel Aviv was very ready for a high-volume cocktail bar. But I wasn't ready for a high-volume cocktail bar in a sense that you have to sort of contain everyone who walks in the door and find solutions for everyone versus the Imperial approach, which is we don't serve this and we can't serve this and we don't hold this and we serve cocktails. Let's try and find what you can drink in there. And it's not a very high-volume approach because you need a lot more conversation, you need a lot more details with the guest. And Hide and Seek was, in my humble opinion, the worst bar in Tel Aviv. And Tel Aviv has a lot of bars, and Hide and Seek was the worst of them all. And after a year of working, we managed to pay down debt, we managed to cover most of our expenses, but for many reasons, cultural reasons, having 10 partners who are used to owning the bar and then walking in and drinking whatever they like and eating away the profits. So Hide and Seek didn't work out. And after a year of that, I got a contract. I signed my partners out by taking on the debt.
Jesus.
And to save the debt, we turned Hide and Seek into French 57, which was a high-end, details thought out. But it was all about saving the business from breaking down from all the mistakes that were made at Hide and Seek. So no matter how hard we tried at French and no matter how well we did, it was always about paying back things or closing out debt. Exactly. And it was crushing. It was absolutely crushing. I think that only in the last... So it took us a whole year to set French 57 up properly. Yeah. We had a year forward marketing plan, which was absolutely awesome. We hit every goal and every target that we've had for that year. And then after a year, we had like 6 months of awesome profits and great work. And then we started having issues between us partners. We were 3 partners. I took the 2 veteran bartenders from Hide and Seek and offered them partnership. On the one hand, they were very loyal and really did a lot of hard work. On the other hand, there were 3 bartenders who owned the place, all focusing on cocktails. So almost every other aspect of the business got hurt, like stock management, the kitchen, the marketing. We had a hard time picking up, the tracks for those. And so after a year and a half, when we were finally seeing like a little money, we were finally getting a little bit of success, we got into a lot of fights between the partners. We each had different interests, different ideas as to how to manage the business, or how to move forward, and it sort of blew up. My partners, one of our partners just got sort of kicked out by us for any number of misdemeanors and issues. And that sort of led to a long and complex 6-month closing, trying to figure out who's going to buy their business, and then nobody bought it, and it turned into a whole nasty story. I'm really proud of some of the stuff that we did at French 57. Like some of the stuff we're really pushing the envelope on organizational level, like progressive salaries, like training programs, like the cocktail specs for the place, etc. But towards the end, it was 24/7, just me. I would go to the market and buy the stock, and then take it back, do all the prep work for the kitchen, for the bar, go home, get an hour's rest, go back to a shift that last until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I finished that. It was like the best shift of my life, for the closing shift for French 57. It was a Friday. We started at 6 p.m. We ended at 6 a.m. the following day. We literally finished everything on the stock. Like so many of our regulars showed up.
And just drained everything.
Anything. We were serving Irish coffees. I think we were the only bar in Tel Aviv who actually made like freshly brewed Irish coffees. People loved them.
Really?
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, it just doesn't seem like a culture that would be like, you know what I want? It's 32 degrees outside. I'm going to go and have a creamy Irish coffee.
It's not. Tel Aviv is not intuitive culture in that sense. One of our best-selling drinks for the last 6 years in Imperial is a blazer.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Nobody can say that.
Well, we sell about 100 blazers a month.
That's crazy.
It's off menu, but people see it, and as soon as people see it, they say, "I want to have one of those."
I want to have a big warm glass of whiskey.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
So I personally talk. I said earlier when we were having coffee that I talked to Dave Mitten about his thing, and I talk about it. I'm pretty open with my failures, learning curves, whatever you want to call them. How did you deal with it? Like when French 57, were you partly relieved, partly gutted, all gutted? Or was it just at the end of your rope and you were just like, I just can't do this anymore?
It's a mix, and I'm still trying to figure out what I feel about that. I wouldn't even know how to approach this. There's so much emotions involved in there. I'm angry with my past partners, but I'm also sure that they were doing what they thought is right for them, and it's like we don't really talk right now, but it's inevitable that at one point or another we're going to have to open it up and sort of figure it out.
Get through it.
Exactly. On the one hand, there's so many layers. When we closed down.
And when did you officially close?
End of October 2000. We're now 19, so 2017.
Okay, so it's been 18 months ish.
Yeah,
since.
Pretty much. So on the one hand, I've been doing 24/7 for 3 years, from hide and seek to French until closing, and for the most part, like the salaries I could take were the tips I would get when I worked as a bartender. It wasn't really salaries, and it's very difficult to live on. So now I work 40 hours a week as a bartender. And it feels like a vacation, like a constant, and people pay me to do that. Yeah. You're like, are you sure people pay?
You sure you want to cut me right now? You want to send me home?
This is excellent. Yeah. And I get to focus on my personal brand, on doing these talks, on coming here. Like I visited here in 2015, which was pretty much 6 months after we opened French, and that was like 2 days that I really couldn't afford any more than that, because I had to go back to the bar and go back to working. And now it's possible, and I'm doing this week where I was in Sofia Bar Show, and now this, and next is Barcelona, and it's like a whole week of.
And Sofia was in Bulgaria, right?
Yeah, Sofia's the
first year.
Yeah, it's their first Sofia Bar Show.
Wow.
And they've heard me talk about creative hospitality. It's a topic I worked on at Imperial. All sorts of different techniques and styles that you can sort of increase or train for hospitality. They've heard me talk about that and said, we really want you to come by. We really want you to come and talk. And
Sweet.
Absolutely awesome.
That's always a nice thing.
Yeah.
That's always nice. And then you're going to Barcelona for what?
You going now?
You're going to Barcelona after this?
There's a garden way to do a private event, something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
It's like the world is getting smaller with the internet and the information and the web, and everything's so approachable. And it's like, you just need to say, this is what I want to do. and figure out how to do it. They'll get you there.
Yeah.
Like there was a convergence this week. All right. There was Florence Cocktail Week in Tokyo Bar Show. There was Singapore Cocktail Week with the 50 best Asian bars. There's Sofia Bar Show and Lisbon Bar Show. And to top all that, it's the Eurovision back home in Tel Aviv. Like, if I was a bar owner, there's no way I could leave the bar for Eurovision. You know, the bar is packed with people.
Well, I think young bartenders, like we were just talking about, like young bartenders, they feel like the end game is owning their own bar. Mm-hmm. But then when you really do it, you're like, well, I think they look at people like the guys from Dead Rabbit, like Jack and Shawn and that sort of thing, and they travel and stuff like that. But they put in like 5 to 10 years of freaking solid, sacrificing nothing, no social life work to get to that point where they had the structure, the money to pay for that structure, to be able to leave and go do seminars and tastings and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And so I think sometimes the romance of bar, I know I did with Little Jumbo. Like I got romanced by the bar owning thing, and not that I regret it, but like there's things I'm just like I wouldn't do that again at all ever again. Mm-hmm. So now that are you going to open another bar yourself, or are you content?
So my number one lesson from the whole French story is that I'm very bad at choosing partners, and that's not the kind of mistake you want to make twice in your life. That's I've made it twice, right? I made a hide and seek in French. Like I don't repeat. I don't, learn from my mistake after one time. I do it 3 or 4 times to really, really make sure that
that sticks.
Yeah, exactly. But if I will open another bar, and I think both you and I have this itch in our fingers to sort of open the bar. Because when you open your own bar, then you have that freedom to really test out and really try the new and exciting things. And it's not just about the technique of the ingredients or to distill them. Like some of the more exciting things that I've been doing recently in pop-ups is like digital menus, and then all the applicable games that you can sort of add on the menu, and sort of embrace technology inside, or play around with, we were talking like the number one word in the industry now is sustainability, but let's figure out new ways, new manners in which we can do that. Community outreach, the level of influence a bar has on the community around it is huge, and you can use that to make the world so much better in so many ways. It's a great way to influence. We want to do that. But if I ever do that, it's going to be like a one-man bar, one-man show.
Like Ulysses downstairs.
Exactly, but where I can sort of close down for the week and say, I'm really sorry, guys. Yeah. But like it's never going to be the main source of income, because it's just going to suck everything out of life. Exactly.
Yeah. So what's your plan for the next 2 to 5 years?
So
what you doing now?
I'm working as a bartender at the Imperial. I'm back working at a consulting company called I Am Training. Mm-hmm. That I'm an organizational psychologist by I've got a master's at the university for that. So I'm back working with them, which is fascinating work. We focus on sales training. Yeah. We don't work with restaurants or bars because they usually can't pay the price for that kind of consulting. But we work with hotels, retail sailors, importers, in high tech medicine. Luxury, anything and everything, which is really exciting. And the whole trick of I Am Training, apart from a huge list of tools for managing the organization or creating routines that foster that, but the whole trick is called self-efficacy. It deals with people's faith in their abilities, sort of emphasizing and strengthening their belief that they can actually cope with things, and then pretty much just sitting back and seeing how the organization gets so much better results when the employees are happy, when the employees believe in themselves, and the managers sort of foster that kind of feeling and support that, and it's all turning positive, which is a great experience for me. Like it's tremendous. So we get to do so many exciting things.
Do you see where the stuff that you do can be applied to bars and restaurants?
It can absolutely be applied to bars and restaurants.
Wow.
I was talking after so I had a talk at the Sofia Bar Show about creative hospitality, and then after that, obviously, every bar owner that was present in the talk comes up with questions about what can I do in my bar and what can I do in my bar. And I was like, if I give you solutions on the spot, it's not going to be relevant because I don't know your product, I don't know your program, I don't know your system, I don't know your guys. But here's the one solution you can do, and this is something I learned at I Am Training. We get the organizations to have, like every manager to have, a once in a month brainstorming meeting with 2 random employees about one single problem. getting them to come up with 3-4 different solutions to that problem. I said, that's exactly what you need to do. Because your employees are going to have new and exciting ways to resolve this issue, or they're going to have new approaches to the problem, and they might actually figure it out completely different. But it's going to be their idea, so they're going to be that much more enthusiastic about implementing it, and they're going to work twice as hard to make sure it works because it comes from them. And you let them run this idea. Them. Exactly. That is a tremendous effect. That is incredible. We work a lot about setting personal goals for sales. So you pretty much get to, like, every employee get to pick like one product that they want to sell more and sort of discuss, just to make sure there's a sort of organizational process of learning from past mistakes, developing, improving in that. And then you get like, you measure yourself according to your goals. And then if you surpass the goal, which happens a lot, then you're like, wow, I can do better. And if you didn't, it's like, I must have set the goal very high. Maybe I should, like, it's a win-win situation when the employee sets their own goals and decide what they want to do. And then the entire organization gets managed from bottom up instead of sort of, the other way around, where the managers keep pushing, you got to work harder, you got to work. That doesn't work. It just doesn't.
You're not meeting the KPIs.
Work. No.
So we've talked about Tel Aviv cocktail culture, but I think it's always one of those things like people, I know I didn't when we first talked about it, like, the cocktail scene in Tel Aviv is quite vibrant. It's a big city. It's a substantial sized city. Has it got better over the last couple of years? Like, I know that if you're looking at Imperial, 6 years old, so we're talking like a 10-year-old cocktail culture. How's it changed for you? Like, because you've pretty much been there since the get-go.
It's tremendous. We were talking about that at Imperial a couple of weeks ago. Like, when we opened, the challenging part was about getting people to understand that we don't have any beer on tap, and maybe they can try something more exciting than a mojito, or let go of the Cosmopolitan and let's try something else. And now people walk in and it's absolutely clear that you're drinking cocktails. Like, it's not about trying to convince them or upsell them into that. They'd sit down and know that they've come to have a cocktail experience, which is absolutely awesome. So, our regulars already have a lot of classic cocktails embedded in them, and they'd sit down and order that. And that's like a sign of cocktail culture, a drinking culture on the spot. The same ease at which he sits down at the bar, he pushes away the menu and says, I'll just have a lager. It's the same way he does that and says, I'll just have an old-fashioned, I'll just have a Negroni.
That's not a bad thing.
It's incredible. I love it.
What do you think the change? Well, how do you think the change happened? Was it just you? No, I'm joking.
Don't I wish I could... No, there's a lot of cocktail bars now. All right, when Imperial opened, there was one. It was basically just Imperial. And there might have been other places where bartenders would try hard because the bartender liked it, but it wasn't about the bartender, it was about the bar, and the bar would serve anything and everything. Now there's about 30 cocktail bars.
Wow.
Restaurants focused on cocktails. People are trying to push the envelope. A lot of them, like we talked before, a lot of them are looking at it and face value. So you get something highly garnished, but no backbone or exactly. But again, it's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right way, and it's working wonderfully. It's very difficult to have, I don't know if it's more or less, but it's always difficult to have bars and restaurants anywhere in the world. It's a challenging job. So you get a lot of groups running several places. But then the structure of each place is affected by the group, and
so on and so forth.
Exactly. If they are cocktail oriented, then all of their places will have cocktails served in there, and all of their staff will have training in some basic level of cocktail knowledge, and then that sort of disseminates and spreads.
From there.
Exactly.
And you've brought a lot of people into Tel Aviv to come and, like, you've had Duff there. I know you had Phil's a big proponent. I think Phil just likes the underdog. That's what I think, because he supports me a ton. So I think he just likes the person who everybody else goes, why are you doing that? You're crazy. He's the guy, like, Duff's the guy's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I'm going to open a speakeasy in Amsterdam when there's no other cocktail bars, and so on and so forth. Are bartenders keeping up with the needs of the consumer, or the consumers? Like, are the consumers ahead or equal? Are you starting to find more consumers drinking cocktails, but the bars are keeping up with the consumerism of it all?
When it comes to the knowledge, then obviously it's the bartenders who are bringing in the results, because no guest will come by and say, I'll have something with a new ingredient. Do you guys would know what the horchata is? It's like nobody knew what horchata is in Israel. So the guests don't do that. The bartenders are the one bringing in the knowledge. But in my experience, whenever we thought that a certain cocktail is too much for the clientele, the clientele would surprise us and over-embrace that drink. We were talking about the Blazer before that. Yeah. The Trinidad Sour is a best-selling drink in Tel Aviv. Everybody loves it. It never gets sent back. And this is crazy because I remember hearing Giuseppe Gonzalez talking about New York. It's a 50-50. Yeah. So some people it's too much for them, and if you don't like it, I'll take it back. Don't worry about that. None of that. Trinidad Sours, they're staying.
That is crazy.
They're absolutely.
Have you told Giuseppe this?
He wouldn't listen to me in any way. I said at the bar, I went to shake his hand. He said, "Don't make it weird," and that was that.
When you went to Vegas?
No. That was at Suffolk Arms. I managed to visit Suffolk Arms before they closed.
And don't make it weird, dude. I can see yourself. Don't make it weird, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Blue Blazer and the Trinidad Sour, biggest selling drink.
Yeah, but Irish coffees, when we used to make it, when we used to make original Irish coffees, they were absolutely brilliant. People would come by just for that. Like if I put a post saying we're serving Irish coffees today because we have everything, it's like the bar would be full just for that.
That's mental.
Incredible. And you'd say, again, like the climate isn't suitable and there's no real base for drinking culture. Like people don't know the classics just as much or they wouldn't know how to choose that. But it works. It works wonders.
Put a Clover Club on the menu, it doesn't sell. Put an Irish coffee on the menu, you're killing it.
Clover Clubs actually sell like crazy. We didn't make them with raspberries because they cost like gold in Israel. Yeah. We made them with strawberries. And we had to take it out to the menu just to stop selling it.
Wow.
My staff had a sort of game, where, what does a guest need to do in order to not get a Clover Club?
What do I do? I will give you $5 not to order a Clover Club right now. What do you see for Tel Aviv in the next 5 years?
There's a lot of digression happening in the restaurant industry right now, unfortunately, in the hospitality industry. There's a lot of new regulations coming out. The current, which was also the former Treasury Minister, put on some new retroactive taxes for foreign employees, and the restaurant industry lives on foreign employees, and suddenly you get a tax of, I'm not kidding, a couple of million shekels back 5 years, and you have to pay that. It's crazy. So there's a long list of places closing down for the last 2 years. It's turning very difficult. But then maybe I'm just reading the map wrong. Maybe the market is just saturated. Tel Aviv is one bar for every 300 citizens, which is crazy amount of bars. Literally, you get outside, you throw a rock, you're going to hit a bar, all right? That's how it works. There's so many of them.
So maybe this is just going to equalize.
Exactly. Maybe the market's just sort of correcting itself. The new bartenders, unfortunately, are not yet at the next generation after me are not yet at the point where they want to open their own bars because it's so intimidating.
That's that sort of gappy sort of
exactly
the stalwarts that have been there for a bit, but there's nothing new because the youngsters are still learning and stuff like that.
But as Aaron Sorkin likes to say, change comes in painfully slow increments, and you have to just sort of embrace it. You sort of find your right place right now and move on from there. The consumers have gotten so much more complex and sophisticated. There are private collectors of whiskey and rum and that. There's whole groups of tastings, beers, wines, and that. And they know so much, and so many of the bartenders are stuck at it's either pot still or column still. That's the two things. No, that's not how it works. There's so much more than that. But we'll get there. It's moving on. It's a little calm right now, but it'll light up again.
It'll light up again?
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I think we need to head to Lisbon Bar Show. This is a Lisbon Bar Show series now. So for the next little while. Thank you very much, buddy.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sweet.
Thanks, Post Shifters. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you're listening, whatever platform you're on, give me a good rating, subscribe, listen along. I'm going to keep going. I really enjoy sitting down with people and learning where they're from, what they did, and how they got to where they were. So if you love it, give me a good 5 stars. If you don't, give me 1 and I'll try harder.